guys, Chris here with Super Savvy Travelers. Hey, today I thought I would touch on all of the little things that you need to know if you're going to move and retire in Italy or just move and live there. There are various items of importance on everyday life that you're going to find you really need to know, and it may even affect your decision as to whether you're going to live there full time as a resident or you're just going to go back and forth between Italy and another country. So the first thing, probably the most important thing for you guys to understand, is the visa process. The elective residence visa is the first visa that you will have to apply for and get before you can start becoming a resident in Italy. Now, the important thing about the elective residence visa is that you have to get it in your home state. So you have to go to the consulate in your home state and you have to deal with them. They are the ones that decide whether or not you're going to get this particular visa. And according to our friend Nick Mehta at Studio Legale Meta, his link is in the details below, the clerks there at the consulates have quite a lot of authority as to what they're going to accept or not. So you have to be ready with all of the documentation that you might need. So the first thing and the most important thing required is passive income. Now, if you're moving by yourself, your passive income needs to be in the amount of 31,000 euros per year, and you have to have 31,000 euros in a bank account somewhere. In addition to that, you're going to need medical insurance that's going to cover you for a year. Those are the things that are probably the biggest barriers for most people. Now, this has to be passive income. Passive income is considered income that is expected to continue no matter what and support you while you live in Italy. Passive income can be things like rental income. They can be things like pensions, social security, that kind of thing. They cannot be, I'm going to go over to Italy and work from there. That's not going to count. For that, you would need a work visa, and that's a whole different ballgame. We're talking just about the elective residence visa that gets you over and begins your voyage on becoming a resident. So again, I'm putting a link to Studio Legale Meta down below in the details because they have packages of information and documents for each situation that they've come across. So if you go down to your consulate, and sometimes it takes you 6 months to get that appointment, you go down to your consulate and they go, no, we want this. Okay, wait, here, there it is. Otherwise, they go, no, we want this, you don't have it, there's another 6 months gone. So it's best to really be prepared, get all the documentation you think you might need, and then go down to the consulate and get that taken care of. Now, according to Nick and his guys, what they're seeing is sometimes the consular agents at the consulate are asking for more passive income. So however much passive income you can prove, please provide it. Don't stop at 31,000. Now, 31,000 is only for one person. If you're a couple, it goes up to 38,000. And if you're bringing children over or dependents, you have to have another 20% on top of that for each dependent person. So again, that's the biggest hurdle. Once you get past that, you're in pretty good shape. And then when you get over to Italy with your elective residence visa, you have to make an appointment with the questore. You go down, you get fingerprinted and take care of all of that stuff. That's a whole nother thing. I'm still in the process of that because every time I go, they want something else. So we're getting that handled. Nick and his guys are on top of that. And we just keep going back until finally they get sick of seeing us, I guess, and go, okay, yeah, you're not going to go away. I don't know. Maybe it's me. I don't know. Other people have not had that problem. I've had clients actually cruise right through and they're like, yeah, we had no problem. A couple of clients actually had that happen. So yeah, maybe it's me. I don't know. Anyway, once that's done, then you are a resident. Now you have to get a car, and you have to be a resident to get a car. That's another important piece of information. That doesn't include renting or long-term leasing or anything like that, but to own a car, you must be a resident. Now, we're pretty lucky in our Riviera di Cedri because we have Massimo. And we initially bought our car with Massimo, and then we had a certain situation with that particular car, and nothing to do with the car itself. It was a great, fabulous car, but we ran into a little incident. And after that, Massimo was able to find us a guy who maybe can get it fixed and actually restore that car, which is great. But in the meantime, we bought a little scooter car that we could just use going back and forth to Puglia and out and about. And it works great. And the price was really great on it. Now, when you buy a car there's all kinds of different things that you have to do. Don't expect to just show up and get your car the same day like here in America. It doesn't work that way. We went back like 3 or 4 times the first time, but then when we bought our other little car, Massimo came and dropped it off. He brought all the paperwork, probably because he had all the information and documents, and we already had insurance and everything. We just transferred it over to the new car. So it was a lot easier the second time. Massimo now knows us. He's got all our stuff, so it's going to be a lot easier with each subsequent time we have to buy a car. Let's hope it's not very often. Anyway, once you get your car, you're going to have to get your Italian driver's license. So in the meantime, what we've done is we come back to the States every year to be with our kids and enjoy the holidays with them. So we just get the international driver's license. It sees us through for another year. And we keep up with our California driver's licenses as well, because the international driver's license is not good unless you also have a driver's license from your home state. So that's how we've been doing it so far. However, I am going to get a little study group together this summer, and we're going to go down to Scalea. We're going to jump into the Autoscuola and get that going. Now, from what I've been reading, I'm on a Facebook group called Help, I Need My Folio Rosa, which is a great Facebook group. You might want to jump in and join them. It's all about people, Americans or English people or people who don't speak the language, trying hard to get their Italian driver's licenses. Now, don't be afraid. I hear it's difficult, but I see a lot of people getting them. So that's not a big problem. You do have to study. And by far what I'm hearing is that if you go through the Autoscuola, they help you with the theory test. You do have to take a practical test where you drive around. So if you're not good at driving a stick, you have to get good at it, because you don't want to be worried about that when you're trying to take your driver's test. So yeah, so it's a bit of a thing there. It is in Italian. However, I have read that in some places you can take it in English, but it's not recommended because from what I'm hearing, the test is actually word for word out of the book, and it might be a little more difficult. The great thing is if you look up the words and you look up all of the questions and you use Google Translate, you're going to get really good at Italian really quickly. So I suggest you do that. I will let you know more after we do our Autoscuola this summer. And we'll have a good study group where we can commiserate and buoy each other up and drill each other and stuff. It should be a lot of fun. And then we'll have a big video of us holding up our driver's license. So that's going to be very great. Okay, taxes over there. I am by no means a tax specialist. In fact, I'm just not. I do know, however, that Social Security can be taxed over in Italy if you're a resident. If you are a resident, you suddenly become liable for taxes. And there is a worldwide income tax. There's also a wealth tax. However, with all of the offsets and everything else, I think it's pretty much more or less what we're paying in California, which is already ridiculous. I mean, California, are you kidding me? And it may actually be even less, so that's pretty good. There are quite a few offsets. You do need to have somebody who is an expert in tax law, and again, Studio Legale Meta, because Nick Meta is a PhD in Italian tax law, and he has lived in the United States for a long time, so he knows both. He knows the offsets, he knows all of the details, and frankly, a PhD in Italian tax law, that's pretty amazing if you ask me. Okay, do I need a bank account? No, you don't. You don't need a bank account in Italy to do all the things you need to do in Italy. We've been using Wise, and it's great. A lot of the things we pay through wire transfer, and it's great because you have the record of it there. The record then becomes part, like say, for example, you're purchasing a house, and you paid the deposit to the seller, okay? You have the record there on the Wise receipt, and that becomes part of the record with the notaio. I always insist on making sure that you get it, you know? And many times they will ask you, I need proof that the deposit was paid. The seller just saying, yes, I received it, sometimes it's not good enough. The notaios are really, really thorough there and very precise, and so they need all of that. In any case, if you have Wise and you have the app on your phone, you always have all your receipts right there, and it's just ready to go. Now, as far as debit cards and getting cash and things like that, there are online banks. We're still trying some out. We had one that didn't work out for some reason, so we're going to try another one. With regards to getting cash in Italy, again, you don't need to have a bank account in Italy. You do need an account with a debit card so you can get money out of the ATM, which brings up a good point. Your PIN number's got to be 4 digits. Now, for credit cards and debit cards and things like that, try to find cards that do not charge you a foreign purchase fee. That can save you a lot of money. Regarding cell phones over there, what you can do is you can get an Italian SIM card and use it in your phone. Unieuro over there does that. I think they're all over Italy. And, your local internet providers and things like that. You can get the SIM cards there. Then you can have internet and everything that you need over there and use it without paying a huge amount of money in roaming charges. For internet, there's various different internet providers. Sometimes it depends on your area as to what you can get. We do know that Starlink in the rural areas is getting more popular. I think we might change to that because it seems to be quicker and more reliable than some of the other ones. Although we've been pretty lucky with our internet. In August, it tends to slow down a little bit because everybody's in Scalea in August. But even still, we can upload videos pretty readily. Now, how does car insurance work in Italy? Okay, so when we bought our car, we bought the insurance through Massimo, who is a one-stop shop over there. So if you're in the market for a car or insurance, or you just need somebody to walk you through all these processes, and you're in the Riviera di Cedri, Belvedere, Scalea, Santa Maria del Cedro, Santa Domenica Talao, San Nicola, all those places, I'm going to refer you to Massimo. Just send me an email at info@supersavvytravelers.com and I will send you his contact information because he's been fabulous with us. We love Massimo. So car insurance, how that works is you don't have a record of driving in Italy when you first arrive. However, after you've been there a year, you do. And if you're a good driver, it's going to start kind of high, although still less than California. And it's going to go down from there. So don't be alarmed if you end up paying what you would pay in California for car insurance initially. Just know that if you're a good driver and you don't get a lot of multas meaning fees for speeding and stuff like that, and you don't get any accidents and things like that, your rates are likely to go down. We'll see about the multa thing. Initially, before I caught on and when our car was red, we got a lot of multas. So let's see how that happens. We'll keep you advised on that. Try not to get the multas. Be very aware when you see speed limit changes, when the cars all slow down. Don't be the one car going fast because you will get a multa. And I'll tell you something, when the postman delivers the multa, he does it very sternly. And in fact, I had a policeman come deliver the multa and I had to sign for it. It was quite embarrassing. So don't get those multas. Nobody likes those. They're not that expensive, but it's kind of like brutta figura. It keeps racking up the multas while you're there. All your car registration, all your insurance are usually handled by the agenzie. They are private agencies. Massimo is one. He sells the cars, but he also runs the agency, so you can do everything. Like I said, he's a one-stop shop. There are other private agencies in the area, but of course we love Massimo. Medical care. Oh my gosh, so many questions on medical care. The first thing you need to know is if you are admitted to the hospital through the emergency room for an emergency, there's no bill. The Italian government takes care of it even if you're a tourist, which I think is incredible. We've had several people that have had to be seen for emergency medical care and not one single bill, even if they spent several days in the hospital. So that's a nice thing. However, if you go to the doctor on your own, you're going to need your carta sanitaria, which is your universal health care card. Otherwise, you have to pay. Some doctors are not even set up to accept money from you. So if you're going to go to the doctor and you plan on paying, make sure you let them know in advance so they can tell you, yes, we have a procedure for that and whatnot. I've only run into that with one doctor, but it does happen. The costs of medical care are crazy cheaper there than they are in America. I will tell you that right off the bat. We had a cardiology appointment for Pete, and he had failed to re-up his carta sanitaria. It expired, we didn't know it, and he had to pay. It was 100 euros. The doctor, the cardiologist, spent an hour with us. He did an EKG, he did an ultrasound right there in the office, he did a whole history. Now he has Pete's whole history there so that in the future he can be monitored and that kind of thing. I went to the dermatologist in Bari. I know I've talked about this before. I have had some skin cancer because, look at me, of course. I'm a poster child for skin cancer, obviously. And it was 300 euros, but it was over an hour and a half. And like I said, she went through everything. She went through my hair, she looked between my toes, she looked at all over my body. And when I left, I knew I had no skin cancer anywhere. And of course I had, little things. Oh, can you look at this? This thing's new. Can you check that out? And she checked it all out. And then she gave me a really nice lotion for my face and created a special sunscreen designed not to make you break out, because the thing, especially with fair people like me and my friend Lisa. We're very sensitive skin, and sunscreen tends to make me just break out. So I just end up wearing tons of clothes at the beach, which is not the best, but her sunscreen was very nice and it stays on in the water and it doesn't make you break out. So that I felt was real value for money. And I'm going to go every year to this same lady. I'm going to head over to Bari and go see her and be ready, because when you're seen at the doctor, specifically at the dermatologist, there was a bunch of interns and stuff in there, and she was sort of teaching a class and I was the subject. They don't have hospital gowns over there. At least not in the doctor's office. I go in, they go, take off your clothes. I'm like, okay. And I see a sheet. I go, is this sheet for me? They go, no sheet. Okay. Naked as a jaybird here, and get on the table. And I went, okay, well, I may as well, get over myself. It's something that's so different in America, where they just, uncover whatever part that they're going to be looking at, and then they cover it up again really quickly. And I'm like, okay, that's great, but you just walking in just naked as a jaybird. But it was like 100 billion degrees in Bari that day, and the room was cool, and the table was cool, and I was tired, and I just laid there, and it was just kind of nice, actually, to be that cool with nothing on. And after a little while, they're just kind of looking at, nothing weird, they're just looking at the body parts and seeing to make sure that there's nothing going on. One guy would have my arm and they'd go, oh, what about this freckle or whatever? I got a million freckles. And then the doctor would come look, oh no, that's this, and I had smashed my finger. It's better now, but I had smashed my finger and had a big black spot on it. She'd look, trauma. And I'm like, oh yeah, trauma. I was glad I was able to be a subject with a lot of things to look at for them. So I felt I did my part for the Italian medical community. In any case, be ready for some differences, with the cardiologist is take off your shirt. So Pete took off his shirt. Happily it wasn't dermatology, or he probably would have been his altogether's as well. Okay, learning Italian. I know you guys hate that whole idea of learning another language, but you have to. You have to. And the first thing you have to get over is the idea that you can't learn another language. We're Americans, all across America, everybody speaks some form of English. And we're used to that. But in Europe, you go to our equivalent of another state, or even within the same country, and there's different languages. I lived in Brussels. They speak French, they speak Flemish, and they speak German there. All three languages, and they know the different languages. And that's just Belgium, and Belgium's about this big. You go over to these other countries, you zip over to Germany, it's German. You zip over to France, it's French. So people know many, many languages, and they just sort of fall into the rhythm of it. It's like learning music. Music is another language. So don't be afraid of learning the language. And by far the best method I can recommend is get a tutor. I've tried all these methods, and a lot of them have worked great. Italian for Dummies is really good. There's a CD collection called Drive Time Italian, which really got me started. And you're driving and you're drilling and yelling phrases in Italian and learning all the articles, masculine, feminine, how the rhythm of the language goes. That's all very important. Apps like Duolingo for vocabulary, that's great, but you're not going to learn Italian on Duolingo. At least I don't know anybody who's learned Italian just using Duolingo. It's good and it's fun, and it gets you some vocabulary words and things like that. But if you really want to learn Italian, you have to know how the language is structured. You have to know grammar. Yes, I know. Nobody likes to study grammar, but it's important to at least understand the parts of the sentence and how it's lined up and what it all means when you put it all together. The best way, like I said, is a really good tutor. Now, the tutor that I had, he came in and just sort of filled in the holes. And what I liked was he went, okay, here's the articles and here's how they work and everything else. And then we would do a lot of talking. He would talk to me only in Italian. And then I go, wow, okay, well, why are you going to use this article here versus this article? And he'd go, oh, blah, 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 blah. Another thing that threw me, things like tavolo and tavola. They both mean table. One's masculine, one's feminine. What's the difference? Well, one of them is the actual table itself. The other is all the stuff on the table. And it's a very, very subtle difference. I'm not even sure if I fully understand all of the difference of that, but there are two tables. One's masculine, one's feminine. And they can tell you all kinds of little details in the language that might be throwing you. And sometimes you just find that all of your progress stops at a certain point, it's usually because you've got a few things there that you don't understand. For me, it was articles. You know, when do you use ye and when do you use these other ones? And so the tutor went over that, and it kind of got me unstuck. And these tutors are able to find exactly what's sticking you and keep you going. Make sure you get one that really knows how to teach, that really has a program, and they have handouts and they have things like that. I asked my tutor for a ton of homework because I wanted to learn quickly, and it was very, very effective. Okay, I think that keeps you going for a little while, guys. I will continue to do these particular things because there are questions that come up and things that people really do want to know about actually living there. It's one thing to look at, oh, we're going to move over and have this wonderful life. It's another thing to get in and go, okay, how do we do this, 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 and this? And I'm going to try to keep you up to date on that. Another thing that I want to plug is go to Prego Italia, Living Our Italian Dream. Justin and Michael, two of our best buddies over there, and they're always talking about life in Italy, life in Scalea, a lot of food stuff. Oh, I love their videos. It tells me all the best restaurants to go to when we go out. So yeah, go check them out. Go check out Studio Legale Meta's website. There is a very, very good blog post on the elective residence visa and all of the things that you need to know about that. So in the comments, put down any questions you have that I can bring up in future videos. And we'll just keep going with this because I'm having fun with it, and I hope you guys are too. Thanks, guys.